Hey friends, welcome to an online Sunday service with Red Deer Lake United Church. My name is Nick, I am the minister here, and we are an affirming church that gratefully gathers on Treaty 7 land, and what we are all about is finding in the way of Jesus a new way to be human and alive in this world. A way that's connected with God, each other, and ourselves. This way of life that's rooted in extravagant and indiscriminate love, hospitality, community, spirituality, justice, and compassion. This way of life that transforms us so we can go out and help transform the world, turning it into one where everybody has enough and everyone has a place. Yeah, that is who we are. That is what we are all about. And whether we are doing it online, in person, or a little bit of both, that is how we live out our faith. We try to be a source of life, light, and love in the world. And I am so glad that you are here online with us today. Thank you for being here. I know today a whole bunch of us are gathered in person at the church for our first in-person service, and God knows how long. But you know what? We're here. And that's good. This is a good place to be. I am so glad that you're joining us online today. Thank you for being here. Whoever you are, however you got here, wherever you're from, whatever you're bringing in with you, may you know that in this time, in this place, you are welcome, you are wanted, and you are accepted, and there's room for all of you and all of you. So knowing that this is a place of diversity, inclusion, and radical love, let's take a moment to check in. If you would like, go find the chat box on the side of your screen there and let us know who you are. Where are you from? How you doing? Let's be in community on that. And you can keep talking for the rest of the service if you would like. But if that's not your jam, that's cool. Just do you. With anything that we do, that's really the guiding principle. Do you. As long as you are open, as long as you are receptive to letting that spirit that makes all things new move in you and around you and speak, do you. That's what really matters. So whatever you need to do to show up to today, that's what I invite you to do. And so let's take a moment to do just that. Let's begin with setting our intention. Because that's always a good thing to do, right? When you do important, life-giving stuff like this, it's always good to take a breath, to settle in, and set our intention. To name verbally even, what do you want to do today? Why are you here? What do you want to get out of this? And there's no right or wrong answer. But it's good to name for you, why are you here? What do you want to leave with? What do you want to do? If there's just one thing, what do you want to do? And maybe for you, it's just let your spirit catch up with your body. So you just want to breathe today. Maybe you're looking for a challenging or inspiring word to help you grow and become something different. Great. Maybe you need to be inspired. Maybe you need to feel seen and heard, so you're going to be active in the chat. Good. Whatever you need to do. So I invite you to take this moment right now to set your intention. And this whole first song that we have, use it to do just that. To finish arriving. To know that this is a good place to be, that you do belong here, and that God of grace, that God of peace, that God of love and hope is with us and around us. And so may we open up, make some room for her to do her thing. And so my friends, as we begin our Sunday service together, as always, may peace be with you.
Hope seen in Jesus, hope yet to come. You are our center, daylight or darkness, freedom or prison, you are our home. Morning morning, sure as the sunrise, God always faithful, you do not change. Fresh as the morning, sure as the sunrise, God always faithful, you do not change. God in our struggles, God in our hunger, suffering with us, taking our part. True our emperor, smothering spirit, feeding, sustaining from your own heart. Fresh as the morning, sure as the sunrise, God always faithful, you do not change. Fresh as the morning, sure as the sunrise, God always faithful, you do not change. Those without status, those without nothing, you are loyal, gifted with rights, chosen as partners, midwives of justice, birthing new systems, lighting new lights. Fresh as the morning, sure as the sunrise, God always faithful, you do not change. Fresh as the morning, sure as the sunrise, God always faithful, you do not change. Not by your finger, not by your anger, will our world order change in a day, but by your people, fearless and faithful, small paper lanterns lighting the way. Fresh as the morning, sure as the sunrise, God always faithful, you do not change. Fresh as the morning, sure as the sunrise, God always faithful, you do not change. Hope we must carry, shining and certain, through all our turmoil, terror and loss, bonding us gladly one to the other, till our world changes, facing the cross. Fresh as the morning, sure as the sunrise, God always faithful, you do not change. Fresh as the morning, sure as the sunrise, God always faithful, you do not change. a servant, humble and meek. Lord, let me lift up those who are weak, and may the prayer of my heart always be, make me a servant, make me a servant, make me a servant today. Make me a servant, humble and meek. Lord, let me lift up those who are weak, and may the prayer of my heart always be, make me a servant, make me a servant, make me a servant today.
You could play it out, but all of it's in your head. Holding on with both two hands. Gotta let go now. Is it really you knocking at your own door? Always looking for something more. Don't be a fool. Don't be a fool. Oh no, no, no. You just gotta let that old story go. You just gotta let that good river flow into your heart. It's a start. It's a start. Where you gonna run to if you're gonna run from here? Only running from your own fear. It'll catch up now. Gotta let it die. Gotta let it go its own way. Who will you be if you let it stay? I'm afraid. I'm afraid. Oh no, no, no. You just gotta let that old story go. You just gotta let that good river flow into your heart. It's a start. Oh no, no, no. You just gotta let that old story go. You just gotta let that good river flow into your heart. just gotta let that old story go. Oh no, no, no. You just gotta let that old story go. Oh no, no, no. You just gotta let that old story go. You just gotta let that old story go.
So to you who are struggling with holding too much, to you who are carrying around false narratives and scripts, to you have too many labels that demean you and dehumanize you and belittle you, to you who are holding on to toxic, broken relationships, to you who are doing things that just are no longer worth it, that you just don't want to do anymore, that are taking you out of life. May you hear this. You don't need to live like that. You don't need to live like that. Put it down. Let it go. Leave it behind. And step into something new. Something more liberating, something a bit more free, a bit lighter, a bit more like the way that God invites you to live. God be with you. And so for today's sermon, I want to start with this. I want to start by naming something. It's a question. It's a question that I think we're all asking right now. You, me, our neighbors, our friends, the guy who makes our coffee, who does our dry cleaning. I think we're all asking it right now. And I think we're all asking it right now because it's a question we always ask at times like this. We always ask it at those moments when we come up to an intersection and we have to choose a direction of where to go. It's a question that we always ask just after everything falls apart and just before everything new comes up. It's a question that we ask during those moments when we realize we can't stay here, but we don't know quite where to go yet. Yeah. It's a question we always ask at those moments when chaos reigns, when crises happens and the script gets changed and we lose the plot. And you probably know those moments, right? Yeah, I think we all know those moments. And that means we've all asked this question. I know I've asked it. I asked it when our dog died. I asked it when my beliefs about God changed, and I just couldn't buy into this idea anymore that God is this all-knowing, all-powerful being. It just didn't work anymore. It didn't mesh with my experience. I mean, I had to ask that every single time we finish binging a TV show and we don't know what to watch next. Yeah, we ask it for all kinds of reasons, but especially at times when everything falls apart and the horizon is still way up ahead and we don't know where to go next. And that's our question. Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Anyone ever asked that question? Anyone know that question? Yeah, I think we've all asked that question. I think we're all asking it right now because, well, of course we are. We're 2 years into a pandemic that has impacted virtually every single aspect of our lives and our world. It's changed our relationships, it's changed our politics, it's changed our kids, our jobs, how we socialize, it's changed our worth and our value. Yeah. Where do we go from here? Over the past 2 years, we've seen things about humanity that we can't unsee, and we're trying to reconcile with it. And we ask, how do we come back from this? Where do we go from here? I mean, we're rumbling with huge spiritual questions right now about our fundamental core values and whether or not we even believe in them. And we're asking, how do we hold all this? Where do we go from here? We're rumbling with a lot of grief right now from everything that's been lost and left behind and faded away, and we haven't had a chance to get any closure at all, let alone lament or grieve properly, and we end up asking in some way, where do we go from here? What's after all of this? How do we get up there? Right? Yeah. Anyone know what I'm talking about? Yeah, I think we're all asking this question right now. I think we're all wondering, where do we go from here? And it's a super telling question. You can always learn a lot from the questions that we ask. Because the fact that we're asking this shows that we know we can't stay here. It reveals that we know that this time that we're in is simply an in-between. It's a liminal space. We know we can't stay here, but the question is, well, where? And I suspect we also know that one of these answers to the question isn't back there. We know we can't go back to what was. As comfortable as that would be, it wouldn't be life-giving. As much of a relief as it might be, it wouldn't really feel right. Too much has changed. It wouldn't work. And so again, we're wondering, well, where do we go? We can't stay here. We can't go back. So where the heck do we go? And so therefore, it's a really anxious question. It's got a lot of fear baked into it. Because there's no map for this. No one's done this before. We can't learn from someone who's already been down this road. So we just kind of we feel like we have to wander off into the darkness, stumbling our way forward, not really sure where to go. Right? Yeah. No wonder we're asking, where do we go from here? But here's the thing about that question. Even though we're all asking it, I don't think it's the right question to ask right now. That's not to say it's a bad question or a dumb question. I don't know if those things really exist. All questions are good questions. It's just not the right question to ask at this time and place. The question that we need to ask right now, I think, is a little bit different. Instead of asking, where do we go from here? The question, rather, is, where do we begin? Where do we begin? It even feels a bit different, doesn't it? And I think that's because where do we begin is what we can call a grounding question, a guiding question, and an energizing question. It's one of those questions that we need to ask when everything falls apart and we find ourselves in between what was and what could be. And in our tradition, there's only one answer to that question. If you look at all the wisdom of our faith tradition, it always says exactly the same thing about where we should begin at those moments when everything has fallen apart and we don't know what's next. We begin, our faith says, right here, with our hearts. We begin with our hearts. And now I know I just lost a bunch of you. I know a lot of you just checked out and you're like, no, Nick, we need a plan. Faith can wait. We can't begin there. We need to begin with a strategy, with a blueprint, with knowing exactly where we're going. We need actionable FRDPs with tangibles that lead to sustainable ROIs. Right? Yeah, I know a lot of you are thinking that, and I know even after this amazing and beautiful sermon, you'll still be wanting that. And I get it. Know that I hear you. I get it. I feel that too. But no, we don't. Those things can wait. We'll get there eventually, but right now, we need to begin here. We need to begin in our hearts. And we need to begin here because in our tradition, and in really a lot of spiritual traditions, the heart isn't seen as just this thing that keeps us alive. But the heart is the very center of our being. It's the place we live out of. It's this place of deep knowing and deep feeling. This place where we can discover truth and meaning and wisdom. It's this place where the Spirit lives and moves and speaks. That's what we talk about when we talk about our hearts. To be someone who lives out of their hearts. To be someone who Brené Brown would call wholehearted. It's what Jesus said is to be truly alive. That's how he actually defines salvation. To be saved is to be someone who lives out of their hearts. It's to be someone who begins here. It's to be open to the mystery underneath it all, that thing that we call God. It's to live out of the deepest and truest parts of ourselves, to know who we deeply are. It's to be whole. It's to see things not only as they truly are, but also as they could actually possibly be. Yeah. This is why people like Richard Rohr, these great teachers of faith, they would say that faith is more about waking up than cleaning up. Yeah, isn't that a great line? Faith is more about waking up than cleaning up. It's when we wake up. It's when we begin here. It's when we open up our hearts and become wholehearted people. It's then and only then that something sacred and beautiful and amazing begins to happen. We move beyond all those things that force us to live at the edges of ourselves. Our ego, our pride, our need to control and fix, our fears and our anxieties, our resentments, those false narratives and scripts that we've been given. It's then that we can move beyond all of those things and we can move into our centers. We can move into courage, into conviction, into trust, into integrity and worth and value. We can move into this deep, deep sense of knowing who we are and that we are not alone. And it's then that we can move into this space where we can listen to that one thing that will tell us where we need to go from here. God, the Spirit, the source of our life, the ground of our being, love, universe, whatever you want to call it. It's when we begin here that we can listen to that one thing that will tell us where we need to go from here. That's where we find our map. That's where we find how we'll get there. It's when we begin here. And at the end of the day, isn't that what we want? Don't we want to be a part of what God is doing in this world? Don't we want to feel truly and fully alive and have lives that hum with a reverence? Don't we want to be a part of what God is doing in the world? Yeah, of course we do. Of course we do. That's why we're here. That's why we gather at times like this. So we can get in on that and we can actually go somewhere that's meaningful, that's deep, that's true. It has an impact not just on us, but on the world around us. And to get there, we need to begin here. And so here's what I'd like us to do. Here's what I want to invite you all into. Both you who are trying to figure out your own life and your own direction, but also us as a community of faith. I want us to change our question. I want to invite us not to ask, where do we go from here? But rather, how do we begin with our hearts? How do we begin here? How do we tap into that place where the Spirit lives? That space where we can listen and discover not only where we need to go, but how we're going to get there. That's what I want to invite us into. To do the work of going here so we can go there. And now I don't want to promise that this is going to be easy work. It's going to be quite the opposite, actually. Tapping into our heart, following after God is never easy. Change, as we know, is tough. Transformation is always disruptive. But I think it's fair to say that it's always worth it. When we get to the other side, when we get to that place, we can look back on the journey and say, yes, that was hard and that sucked and that took a lot of sweat, but oh, look at where we are now. How amazing is this? We're living lives that hum with reverence. We're living out of our hearts. Yeah. So I want to invite us into that. I want to invite us to be people who are wholehearted and follow after the Spirit into whatever is next, whatever that's going to be. So I'll leave you with this. A question I invite you to ask yourself this week and see where it takes you. It might be a question you need to ask yourself each and every moment, maybe each and every day, but I do invite you to sit with it. And that question is, how can you begin here? How can you open up your heart? How can you move beyond the edge of yourself and move into the center of yourself? That place of deep knowing and feeling, that place of courage and vulnerability, that place where you know that you are not alone because it's there that you encounter God. And what do you hear? What is God telling you? Where is God telling you that you need to go? Where is God telling us as a church that we need to go? And so let's enter into a period of what we call discernment, of listening, of deep listening, of doing the work to open up our hearts, to tap into this and do that courageous but transformative work of listening and then following. So how can you open up your hearts this week? What do you need to do to become wholehearted people? People who live out of here. And what is it that God is saying to you? And so as you begin this work, this really difficult but beautiful and life-giving work, may you listen, may you struggle well, and may you tap into this, and may you find yourself at home there. And so my friends, let's do this together. May you know that you're not alone. May you open up your hearts, and may grace and peace be with you. Spirit who lives within us. This morning when we woke up to your presence in us and around us, we also woke up to a heavy world. And in this world there is so much that makes no sense. There's so much that's wrong that should be right. We can't fathom that people are judged on the color of their skin, or that lies are worthless because their pockets are empty, or that violence is a normal everyday occurrence, or that people will block hospitals and choose to put themselves before their neighbors. There is so much that makes no sense, that makes us lament, that moves us into despair. And so God, when we wake up to this sunrise and this new day, help us to know that this world is still good. Help us to know that you are still with us. And may you teach us what it means to seek goodness when the world is dark. Teach us what it means to live in grace, not just for ourselves, but for everybody. We've been individuals for far too long, and in that individualism, we've forgotten how to hold each other. Teach us how we can return again to a love that holds together a community. A love based on the way that we belong to each other. This return to wholeness, compassion, and love. So God, teach us these things and lead us into this world that is not defined by the color of our skin or our class or our choices, but into a world in which we truly see each other. And we believe that sacred, divine love is the imprint on everyone and everything. God, in this heavy world, remind us that we belong to each other. And because of that, we belong to you. Teach us, lead us, help us to get where we need to go. And we ask this in the liberating and beautiful name of Christ by saying together, Amen. All right, friends, that is everything for this week. Thank you so much for being here. It means the world that you have joined us for an online service. And for those of you who are going to keep joining us online, even as we begin to gather in person, know that we're going to keep doing this every single Sunday. Sunday, 10 a.m. here on the YouTube channel or our church website. We'll be having our online Sunday service. So whether or not you just can't go to our in-person services, or maybe you're not ready to join there, or maybe you live far away and this is the best way to do it, doesn't really matter. Know that you can come back here every single Sunday and we'll have a service together. We're also in the process of trying to figure out what other things we'll be doing online. What other Bible studies, what other prayer groups, book studies, conversation, things like that we'll be doing online. So stay tuned, and we definitely want you to get in on all of that. But for now, we are going to go jump on Zoom and have our follow-up conversation that we always do. So if you are looking to keep this work going, if you've got some questions this service brought up within you, if you just want to hang out and be seen by really good people, click on the link in the description. That will take you to our Zoom call, and we have some amazing people there who will lead us in some really good discussions. If you enjoy these things, if you want to continue to support our work, please click on the link below. It helps us do this kind of work. We're all about helping people connect, giving people hope, giving people a purpose, and introduce them to meaning. And everything that you can offer does help that. So click on the link below. That will take you to our website. You can buy gift cards there that help support our church. You can give monthly or just a one-off donation, all kinds of options. But please go there. It all matters and it is all appreciated. But for now, again, thank you. We'll see you again next week. And whoever you are, whatever is going on within you, may you become a person who is wholehearted. May you let go of that stuff that is holding you back. And may you go in peace. May you go in love. May you go and do it loudly. Amen.